Zara Miles' blazing defiance confronts prejudice at the airport gate, igniting a storm of justice. The jetway door crashed open, a metallic clang reverberating through the cabin of Flight 827 and Tom Hargrove. A ground crew supervisor with a sneer carved into his face stormed aboard with 6 airport police officers, their boots pounding the carpeted aisle, their eyes zeroing in on Captain Zara Miles, who stood poised at the cockpit entrance, her Navy pilot's uniform impeccable, its captain's bars catching the cabin's fluorescent glow, her braided hair tucked neatly under her cap, and Hargrove's voice sliced through the hum of pre-flight preparations. "You're off this plane now," his tone dripping with contempt, his finger stabbing the air at Zara, a black woman whose authority seemed to burn him, and the officers spread out, their hands hovering over holsters, their faces a mix of indifference and hostility, passengers gasping, phones whipping out, cameras flashing as whispers rippled through the cabin, and Zara's heart thundered. Her years of relentless training, light school's grueling exams, military air drills, endless simulator nights surging in her mind. Her captain's rank hard-won through sweat and sacrifice, not privilege, and she stepped forward, her posture unyielding, her voice calm but razor-sharp. "I'm Captain Zara Miles, commanding this flight to London. Check the manifest." Hargrove's laugh was a guttural taunt, his eyes raking her from cap to boots. "You, a captain? No chance. People like you don't fly planes like this." The words landed like a blow, passengers shifting uncomfortably, a woman muttering, "That's not right." But Hargrove brandished his clipboard, his voice booming, "You're not listed. Get out, or we make you." Zara's jaw clenched, her pulse a drumbeat. Memories of her father, a mechanic who'd spent nights teaching her aerodynamics on a cluttered workbench, his voice steady, "They'll try to block your sky." Zara, sore anyway, and she drew her pilot's license, her ID, her airline credentials, each document a testament to her right, thrusting them toward Hargrove. But he swatted them away, papers fluttering to the floor. "Fakes. Obviously. Move it, lady." The officers tightened their circle, one growling, "Step aside, ma'am," their guns glinting ominously. And Zara's rage flared, her brother Jamal's face flashing in her mind, a pilot whose dreams were crushed by whispers of not qualified, his career grounded by bias, and she refused to break, her voice rising, a controlled storm. "You're delaying an international flight. Verify my clearance, or face the consequences." Hargrove leaned it in, his breath sour, his whisper laced with venom. "Go back where you belong." The slur barely veiled, and passengers gasped, a man shouting, "She's the damn pilot," but Hargrove's radio crackled, and he grinned, barking, "Escort her out." Now when the officers moved, 2 grabbing Zara's arms, their grips like vices, pulling her toward the jetway, and she twisted, her military training sparking, her elbows jerking free, her stance defiant. "This is illegal," she roared, her eyes boring into Hargrove's. "You're grounding a flight for prejudice." The lead officer, a broad man with a buzz cut, hesitated, his hand on his taser, but Hargrove's smirk widened. "She's a fraud." "Do it!" Passengers erupted, a young woman blocking the aisle, phone raising, "This is racism." "Let her fly," and the crowd surged, their cameras streaming live, chants of Captain Miles shaking the cabin. But the gate manager, Ellis, a wiry man with sweat beading on his brow, rushed in, stammering, "Captain Miles, please, step outside. We'll resolve this." And Zara's laugh was bitter, her credentials still scattered on the floor. "Resolve your crew's breaking federal law." Ellis averted his eyes, his radio buzzing, and he muttered, "More security's coming." And Zara's chest tightened, her dignity a battlefield, the cockpit her rightful place. Yet she was cast as an imposter, and she held her ground, her voice a whip. You'll pay for this. Hargrove stepped closer, his whisper a knife. Not to you. And the officers shoved, their hands rough, forcing her down the jetway. Passengers booing, their videos capturing every second. And Zara's mind raced, her phone slipping out, recording as she spoke. This is Captain Zara Miles, denied my cockpit by discrimination. And the crowd roared. Shame on you, but security pushed her into the terminal. The jetway door slamming shut, sealing her from her plane. And Zara's eyes blazed, her uniform a symbol of her fight, her resolve a hurricane, knowing this wasn't just Hargrove's ignorance, but the syndicate, a shadow network she'd heard whispers of, rigging airlines, silencing voices like hers. And she remembered Jamal's defeat, his voice soft. Don't let them win. Zara. And she wouldn't, her heart a furnace, her fingers already texting Lena Carter, her lawyer friend. Videos live. Sue the airline. And Lena's reply flashed. On it. As Zara stood in the terminal, storm clouds darkening the tarmac. Her plane grounded, but her fight taking wing. A vow to reclaim her cockpit and expose the bias. Not just for herself, but for Jamal. For every dreamer clipped by prejudice. Her battle a storm ready to break the syndicate's hold. Her father's words a beacon. Fly, Zara, no matter what. And she stepped toward the lounge, her eyes fixed on the sky. Her war just ignited. A roar erupted outside the airport terminal. A tidal wave of voices chanting, "Let her fly," as passengers clogged the concourse. Their signs scrawled with "Justice for Zara." And phones raised, live streaming the swelling protest. While inside a cramped lounge, Captain Zara Miles sat hunched over her phone, her Navy uniform still creased from the jetway struggle, her arms bruised from the officers' grips, her eyes burning with a fire that hadn't dimmed since Tom Hargrove and his 6 airport cops dragged her from Flight 827, and she uploaded the video, her recorded defiance. Hargrove sneers, the officers' rough hands onto every platform, her caption blazing, Captain Zara Miles, denied my cockpit by prejudice. And within minutes, the clip exploded. Hashtags like #Zara Miles and #airport bias trending worldwide. Millions sharing, commenting, raging. And Zara's pulse thundered, her father's words echoing. They'll clip your wings, Zara, but you'll soar. And she refreshed the feed, watching the numbers climb 10,000 shares, then 100,000. The video, a spark igniting a storm, and passengers outside grew louder. Their protests spilling into baggage claim, check-in counters grinding to a halt, and Zara's phone buzzed. A flood of messages from fellow pilots. Her friend Captain Elena Ruiz texting, "We're with you, Zara. This ends now." And dozens of colleagues posted solidarity, their videos flooding social media, white, black, Asian pilots in uniforms declaring, "We fly with Captain Miles," and the terminal shook, a woman's voice booming, "No justice, no flights." As travelers refused to board, their defiance a wall, and Zara's heart surged. Her brother Jamal's memory, his grounded dreams, his voice soft. Fight, Zara fueling her, but a sharp knock interrupted. And Ellis, the gate manager, slipped in, his face slick with sweat, his voice low. "Captain Miles, the airline's offering a private apology. A payout, just drop this." And Zara's laugh was a blade, her eyes piercing. "You think money buries this? I'm suing." And Ellis paled, stammering, "You don't understand. This could ruin us." But Zara stood, her uniform a shield. "You ruin it yourselves." And she pushed past, her phone buzzing again. Lena Carter, her lawyer, texting, found something internal emails. "Check your secure link." And Zara's breath caught, her fingers flying, opening a file from Lena, a chain of emails from Hargrove to airline execs. One line chilling, "She doesn't look like a captain. Keep her out." And another, No diversity hires in my cockpit. The word's a noose. Proof of the syndicate's grip. A shadow network Zara had suspected, rigging the industry. And she forwarded the emails to Lena. Her reply instant. This is gold. We're filing tomorrow. And Zara's resolve hardened. But the lounge door burst open. A reporter, Sarah Klein, camera in tow, pleading, Captain Miles, tell your story, and Zara hesitated. Her scars raw, but Jamal's defeat spurred her, and she faced the lens, her voice steady. I'm a pilot, denied my plane for my skin. This isn't just me, it's every dreamer they've grounded. And the feed went live, millions watching. The protest outside swelling, passengers blocking runways, flights canceled, and Zara's phone lit up. A call from Elena. Pilots are walking out. Zara, you've started a movement, and the terminal's glass walls trembled. Protesters chanting, Captain Miles, Captain Miles. But a text from an unknown number froze her. Back off, or you're done. And Zara's jaw tightened. The syndicate's shadow looming, and she slipped into a side corridor, her mind racing. Lena's next message linking to a leaked memo. Airline execs planning to smear her, label her unstable. And Zara's rage flared. Her father's workbench lessons, thrust, lift, resilience grounding her. And she texted Lena, release the emails, all of them. And within hours, Lena's team leaked the files, news outlets blazing headlines, airline racism exposed, and the protest grew. Travelers refusing tickets, pilots grounding planes, and Zara stepped outside, the crowd parting, their phones a sea of lights, a young girl holding a sign, fly, Captain Zara. And Zara's eyes stung, Jamal's smile in her mind, but a shadow moved in the crowd, a man in a suit, his gaze too sharp, vanishing as security pushed through, and Zara's instinct screamed. The syndicate wasn't just Hargrove or Ellis, but a machine, and she whispered to Lena, dig deeper, as the terminal became a battlefield, protesters clashing with police, media swarming, and Zara stood tall, her uniform a banner, her video a torch, knowing this was no mere fight but a war to remake the skies. Her heart a furnace, her resolve a storm, ready to burn the syndicate's bias to ash, no matter the cost. A gavel slammed at the federal courthouse, its echo cutting through the tense air as Captain Zara Miles stood at the plaintiff's table. Her Navy pilot's uniform, a stark contrast to the sterile room. Her bruises from the jetway scuffle fading, but her resolve blazing. Her eyes locked on the airline's legal team. A pack of suits led by a sharp-eyed attorney, Victor Lang, whose smirk mirrored Tom Hargrove's. And outside, protesters choked the streets, their chants of justice for Zara. Shaking the city, fueled by her viral video, Hargrove's slurs, the officer's rough hands now at 50 million views, and Zara's heart pounded, her father's voice whispering, soar, Zara, no matter what. As Lena Carter, her lawyer, a fierce black woman with a razor-sharp mind, slid a folder across the table. Its contents, Hargrove's racist emails, passenger videos, Zara's credentials a legal grenade, and Lena's voice was steel. We're suing for discrimination, obstruction, and defamation. But Lang scoffed. Your client's a publicity stunt. No case here, and Zara's jaw clenched, her brother Jamal's grounded dreams flashing, his defeat a fire in her chest, and she leaned forward, her voice low. You grounded my flight, humiliated me, because of my skin. That's the case. And the judge, a stern woman named Torres, raised an eyebrow, ordering discovery. But Zara's phone buzzed on it. A cryptic text from an unknown number. Drop the suit, or you crash. And her pulse spiked, the syndicate's shadow looming, a network she'd suspected since the airport. And Lena's eyes met hers, a nod of defiance, as they left the courthouse. Protesters cheering, Their signs fly. Captain Zara. A sea of support, but a man in a black SUV watched from the curb, his gaze chilling, vanishing as Zara turned, and she whispered to Lena, "They're scared." And Lena's reply was grim. They should be. And at their office, a cluttered downtown loft, Zara met Jaden Brooks, a wiry hacker with a laptop that hummed like a jet engine, his dreadlocks bouncing as he typed. Found more emails. Zara, execs panicking, mentioning the syndicate, they're deep in the airline. And Zara's breath caught. Jaden's screen showing messages from Lang to a CEO. Neutralize Miles. Protect the network. And another. Hargrove's expendable. Cut him loose. And Zara's rage surged. Her ejection from the cockpit, no accident, but a syndicate hit. And she said, "Leak it." Jaden. But he hesitated. "This is big. Zara, they'll come for you." And she nodded, her scars a reminder. Let them. And Jaden uploaded. News outlets erupting. Airline conspiracy uncovered. And protests swelled. Passengers boycotting flights, pilots walking out. And Zara's phone rang. Elena Ruiz, her pilot friend, shouting, half the union striking. "You're changing the game," but a brick crashed through the office window. Glass shattering. A note tied, "Last warning." And Zara's instincts flared. Her military training kicking in. Her hand on the knife she carried. And Lena grabbed a bat. Jaden arming his security cams. And Tara, Zara's hired security, stormed in. Her team sweeping the street, finding nothing but syndicate whispers. And Zara's mind raced. Her father's workbench, lessons lift, thrust, control, grounding her. And she faced a press scrum outside. Sarah Klein's camera live. Millions watching as Zara spoke. "I'm a pilot. Denied my sky for my race." This isn't just me, it's every voice they've silenced. And the crowd roared. Hashtags trending. Hashtag Zara flies and hashtag end airline bias. But Jaden's laptop pinged. A leaked syndicate memo. Orders to frame Zara as mentally unfit. And Lena's eyes narrowed. They're desperate. And Zara said, "Good. Let's bury them." And they filed a motion, demanding FBI scrutiny. And Agent Carla Vasquez, a federal investigator, met them. Her voice clipped. "We're probing the airline, but the syndicate's deep watch your back." And Zara nodded, her bruises aching, but her resolve iron. And protests gridlocked the airport. Flights grounded, media swarming, and Zara's video looped on screens. Her defiance a beacon, but a shadow moved in the crowd. The same SUV man, his hand on a phone, and Zara's heart tightened. The syndicate's reach vast, and she texted Jaden, "Dig into their finances." As Lena prepped the case, there loft a war room, and Zara stood by the window, the city's lights a battlefield. Her brother's defeat a vow, her fight a fire, knowing the syndicate wasn't just an airline but a machine, and she'd expose it. Her evidence a torch, her resolve a storm, ready to remake the skies no matter the cost. A car engine roared outside Zara Miles' apartment, its headlights slicing through the pre-dawn gloom, a menacing hum that snapped her awake, her bruised arms aching from the jetway scuffle, her heart racing as she grabbed the knife under her pillow, her military instincts flaring, and she peered through the blinds, spotting a black SUV idling, its driver a shadow. A syndicate enforcer sent to silence her, and the city beyond was a powder keg. Zara's live stream her defiance against Tom Hargrove's racism. The airline's leaked emails now a global firestorm. Headlines screaming, "Pilots fight exposes airline scandal" across CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, and protests gridlocking airports worldwide. Passengers boycotting, pilots striking, and Zara's phone buzzed relentlessly. Notifications piling up. Her video at 100 million views. Hashtags like hashtag Zara flies and hashtag end airline bias dominating feeds. But the SUV's engine revved. A warning. And Zara's mind flashed to her brother Jamal. His grounded dreams a wound, his voice urging, "Fight, Zara." And she slipped into tactical gear. Her pilot's uniform folded, her resolve a furnace, and Lena Carter's text lit up. Filing expanded suit today. Syndicates panicking, but a crash shattered the silence. Her apartment door splintering, and a masked Sathu stormed in, his silenced pistol glinting, and Zara dove behind a couch, her knife flashing, her training a lifeline, and she hurled a lamp, glass exploding, the Sathu's shot grazing her shoulder, blood seeping, but she lunged, her blade slicing his wrist, his gun clattering, and she tackled him, her strength fueled by rage, pinning him as he snarled, "The syndicate owns you," and she pressed the knife to his throat. "Who sent you?" But headlights flooded the room, the SUV screeching closer, and Zara knocked him out, his body slumping, and she grabbed his phone, its screen showing orders from VL. Victor Lang, the airline's lawyer, and she texted Jaden Brooks, her hacker. "Trace this, now." As the SUV's doors opened, two more enforcers approaching, and Zara barricaded the door, her shoulder bleeding, her mind racing, and Jaden's reply flashed, "Got a hit. Lang's tied to CEO Grayson, syndicate funds and offshore accounts." And Zara's breath caught. New evidence linking the syndicate to the airline's top brass, a conspiracy deeper than Hargrove's slurs, and she slipped out a fire escape, rain slicking her path, the enforcers breaching her apartment, their shouts fading as she sprinted to Lena's office, a downtown loft pulsing with protest live streams, and Lena, her eyes fierce, pored over Jaden's files. "This connects Grayson to syndicate payoffs. We've got them." But Zara's phone pinged, a leaked memo from Grayson. "Discredit Miles, any means." And her rage surged, her father's lessons lift, thrust, resilience anchoring her, and she faced Sarah Klein's camera, "Live to millions." Her voice a whip, "I'm a pilot, grounded for my race, but the syndicate's the real fraud." And the feed exploded, protests shutting down runways, pilots grounding fleets, and Jaden hacked airline servers, pulling a smoking gun and email from Grayson to Lang, "Eliminate Miles, protect the network." And Lena filed it with the FBI. Agent Carla Vasquez confirming, "We're raiding Grayson's office. Stay low." But a Molotov cocktail crashed through the loft's window, flames licking, a syndicate hit, and Zara grabbed Lena, shoving her out as Jaden's cams caught the attackers. Terra's security team storming in, their guns blazing, and Zara fought through smoke, her shoulder screaming, her knife slashing an enforcer's arm, blood spraying, and Terra's team cleared the room, the attackers fleeing, but Zara's vision blurred, her blood loss heavy, and Lena caught her. "You're unstoppable." And Zara rasped, "Not yet." As Jaden uploaded the email, news outlets blaring. Airline CEO linked to conspiracy, and protests turned violent. Airports paralyzed, and Zara stood in the rain, her wounds a price, her evidence a torch, the city a battlefield. And she knew the syndicate wasn't just Grayson, but a hydra, its heads hidden. And she texted Elena Ruiz, "Rally the pilots," as Sarah's feed showed Zara's bloody defiance, millions chanting. Captain Miles and Zara's heart burned. Jamal's defeat a vow. Her father's words a beacon. "Soar, Zara." And she vowed to expose the syndicate's core, her fight a fire, her resolve a storm, ready to remake the skies, no matter the cost. A siren wailed in the distance, its shrill cry swallowed by the roar of protesters flooding the airport tarmac, their signs blazing justice for Zara. As Captain Zara Miles stood in a packed courtroom, her Navy uniform bloodied from a fresh gash on her arm, her ribs aching from the Sathu's attack at her apartment, her eyes unyielding as she faced the airline's CEO. Richard Grayson, his tailored suit a mask for the syndicate's rot, and the judge's gavel fell, silencing the room. Lena Carter, Zara's lawyer, slamming a stack of emails on the table. Each one a dagger, Grayson's orders to neutralize Miles, syndicate payoffs to silence pilots. And Zara's voice was a blade. You grounded me for my race, but you're the criminals. And the courtroom gasped. Reporters scribbling, cameras live streaming to millions. The feed trending with the hashtag Zara flies and syndicate exposed. And Grayson's face paled. His lawyer, Victor Lang, stammering objections. But Judge Torres demanded silence, her eyes narrowing as Lena played Zara's video Hargrove's slurs. The jetway scuffle followed by Jaden Brooks' hacked files, linking Grayson to syndicate hits. Including a pilot's accident Zara knew was murder, and the room erupted, spectators shouting, protesters outside shaking the walls, and Zara's heart pounded. Her brother Jamal's grounded dreams. A fire. Her father's words. Soar. Zara, a beacon. And Lena's voice boomed. This is the syndicate. A conspiracy rigging our skies. And the FBI, led by Agent Carla Vasquez, stormed in, their badges flashing, serving Grayson a suspension order, his face crumpling, and Torres adjourned. But Zara's phone buzzed. A text from Jaden. Found a whistleblower. Maya Chen, airline insider, she's got more. And Zara's pulse surged, her wounds stinging, but her resolve iron. And she left the courthouse. Protesters parting, their cheers a tide, only to face a new threat at the airport, where she'd returned to rally striking pilots. And a masked gunman emerged from a baggage claim crowd, his silenced pistol aimed, and Zara dove behind a check-in counter, her military training sparking, her knife flashing as she tackled him, his shot grazing her thigh, blood soaking her uniform. But passengers swarmed, a man shouting, "Protect Captain Zara," and they pinned the gunman, their phones filming, the attack live. And Zara staggered up, her leg burning, her voice raw. This is what they fear us. Together. And the crowd roared, airport security rushing in, too late, as Zara's live stream hit millions, her bloodied defiance a symbol, and Maya Chen, a nervous ticketing agent, slipped her a USB, whispering, Grayson's contracts, syndicate names, take it. And Zara clutched it, her wounds screaming, but her mind sharp. And she texted Jaden, crack this. Now, as Lena met her, eyes wide, FBI's raiding the airline. Grayson's done, but a second attacker lunged from a terminal shadow, his blade slashing Zara's arm, blood spraying, and she fought back, her knife sinking into his shoulder, his scream echoing, and passengers again intervened, their fists a shield, dragging him down, and Zara collapsed, her blood pooling. But Maya knelt. You're not alone. And Zara rasped, keep filming. As the live stream soared, billions watching, protests paralyzing airports globally, and Jaden's hack revealed Maya's USB syndicate ties to a billionaire, Vincent Marrow, funding Grayson's schemes. And Lena filed it, Vasquez confirming, Marrow's next, but he's untouchable. And Zara's vision blurred, her wounds critical, but her heart burned. Jamal's defeat a vow, and she stood, supported by passengers, their phones a sea, and Sarah Klein's camera caught her. Live. I'm a pilot. My skin's no crime. And the syndicate will fall. And the terminal shook. Protesters storming gates. Pilots grounding planes. And Zara's evidence of video. Emails. Maya's USB was a torch. The FBI closing in. Grayson's empire cracking. But Marrow's shadow loomed. A deeper syndicate head. And Zara's phone pinged. An anonymous threat. You're dead. Miles. And she gripped Lena's arm. Find Marrow, as passengers chanted. Captain Zara and her wounds bled. Her fight a fire. Her resolve a storm. Knowing the syndicate was a hydra, but she'd cut its heads. Her sky a battlefield. Her father's words. Fly. Zara, her guide, ready to burn their bias to ash, no matter the cutoffs. A scream tore through the federal courthouse, a piercing cry from a protester outside as flames licked the sky. A syndicate-planted explosive detonating near the airport's main terminal, its shockwave rattling the courtroom windows where Captain Zara Miles stood, her Navy uniform stained with dried blood from the airport attack, her thigh and arm wounds throbbing, her eyes blazing with unyielding fire as she faced Richard Grayson, the airline's disgraced CEO, his face ashen, his tie loosened, and Lena Carter, her lawyer, slammed a USB onto the plaintiff's table, its contents Maya Chen's leaked contracts, syndicate payoffs, orders to silence pilots, a legal inferno. And Zara's voice was a thunderclap. You built an empire on prejudice, Grayson, but it ends today. And the courtroom froze. Reporters gasping, cameras live streaming to billions, the feed trending with hashtag Zara flies and hashtag syndicate falls. And Judge Torres leaned forward, her gaze piercing, as Lena played Maya's testimony. The ticketing agent's voice trembling but clear. Grayson paid to bury complaints. The syndicate rigged promotions, killed pilots who spoke out, and the room erupted, spectators shouting, protesters outside storming the airport, their chants of justice for Zara, a tidal wave. And Grayson's lawyer, Victor Lang, lunged to object, his voice cracking. Hearsay, but Torres silenced him, ordering Maya to the stand. And Zara's heart pounded. Her brother Jamal's crushed dreams a wound. Her father's words, sore, Zara, a lifeline. And Maya, her eyes haunted, detailed syndicate hits, naming Vincent Marrow, a billionaire tied to global airlines. And Zara's breath caught. The puzzle-clicking Marrow, not Grayson, was the syndicate's head. And Lena's voice boomed, this is a conspiracy against our skies. And the live streams soared, billions watching, airports paralyzed, pilots grounding fleets, and Zara's phone buzzed. Jaden Brooks texting, Marrow's in Dubai, funding new syndicate cells, and her resolve hardened. But a gunshot rang out, a syndicate sniper firing from a rooftop, the bullet shattering a courtroom window, glass raining, and Zara dove, shielding Maya, her wounds screaming, and terror security teams stormed in, their rifles sweeping, neutralizing the shooter, his body slumping, and Torres evacuated the court. But Zara stood, blood dripping, facing Grayson. Confess, or you're next. And his eyes flickered, fear breaking his mask. Marrow runs it all, he muttered. The admission lived, and the room gasped. Protesters outside clashing with police, runways blocked, and Lena seized the moment, filing Maya's USB with the FBI. Agent Carla Vasquez rushing in. We're issuing warrants, but Marrow's untouchable offshore, and Zara's voice was ice. Not for long. As she left, protesters parting, their phones a sea, and Sarah Klein's camera followed. Live, I'm Captain Zara Miles, grounded from my race, but the syndicate's falling, and the feed hit billions, pilots striking globally, passengers boycotting, and Jaden hacked Marrow's accounts, revealing payments to Lang, Grayson, and foreign airlines. And Lena's team leaked it, headlines blaring. Billionaire linked to airline conspiracy, and protests turned to riots. Airports shut down, and Zara rallied pilots at a hangar. Elena Ruiz shouting, we're grounding every syndicate plane. But a drone buzzed overhead, dropping a note. Miles, you're dead. And Zara's instincts flared, her knife drawn, and Tara's team swept the hangar, finding syndicate trackers. And Zara's wounds bled, her leg a furnace, but her mind was sharp. And she texted Jaden, find Marrow's base, as Lena prepped for the next hearing, their loft a fortress. And Maya joined, her voice firm. I'm testifying again, for every pilot they silenced. And Zara nodded, her pain a price, her evidence Maya's USB, Grayson's confession a torch, and the city burned. Protesters storming airline HQs, media swarming, and Zara stood in the hangar, pilots saluting, their planes grounded, her fight afire, and she knew Mara was the syndicate's heart, a billionaire beyond Grayson, and she'd hunt him. Her resolve a storm, her father's words, fly, Zara, her guide. And as the live stream looped her bloodied stand, billions cheered. Her sky a battlefield, ready to burn the syndicate's empire to ash. No matter the quantum, a deafening roar surged outside the federal courthouse. A tidal wave of cheers and chants crashing through the city as thousands of protesters flooded the streets, their signs blazing Zara flies and drones soaring above, live streaming the historic verdict to billions, their feeds pulsing with hashtag Zarawins and hash syndicate down while inside the packed courtroom, Captain Zara Miles stood resolute at the plaintiff's table, her Navy uniform patched with blood from the airport ambush, her thigh and arm wounds throbbing beneath bandages, her dark eyes a storm of defiance as Judge Evelyn Torres's gavel slammed, her voice cutting through the charged air. The court finds in favor of Captain Zara Miles on all counts discrimination, obstruction, and conspiracy, and the room erupted, reporters shouting, spectators leaping, some weeping, the ruling a seismic blow against the airline and the syndicate, its shadow network exposed, and Richard Grayson, the airline's disgraced CEO, slumped in his chair, his tailored suit wrinkled, his face drained of color, his empire in ruins, and Lena Carter, Zara's lawyer, a black woman with a mind like a blade, gripped Zara's hand, her eyes alight. We've won. Zara, it's over. But Zara's heart thundered, her brother Jamal's crushed dreams a raw wound, his voice soft in her memory. Don't let them win. Zara, and her father's words. Soar, Zara, no matter what. Burned like a beacon. And she turned to Grayson, her voice cold, unyielding. You grounded me for my skin, tried to break me, but you're the one who's fallen. And the courtroom's camera zoomed, the live stream spiking, billions watching as Grayson's head bowed. His lawyer, Victor Lang, stammering futile objections. This is outrageous. Will appeal, but Torres's glare silenced him. Her voice iron. Your client's crimes are proven. Lang, sit down. An FBI agent, Carla Vasquez, swept through the doors, her badge flashing, cuffs snapping onto Grayson's wrists, his forced resignation already viral. A headline screaming, airline CEO ousted in scandal. And Maya Chen, the whistleblower whose USB had cracked the syndicate's armor, stood in the gallery. Her testimony payoffs, pilot murders, rigged promotions echoing in the verdict, and Zara's chest tightened. Jamal's grounded career a vow, and she faced the room, her wounds a badge. This is for every pilot told they don't belong. And the crowd inside roared, matching the protesters outside, their chants a symphony. And Lena announced a press conference, Zara stepping into the sunlight, the sea of supporters parting, their phones a constellation, and Sarah Klein's camera followed. Live, I'm Captain Zara Miles, a pilot, not a victim, and the syndicate's done. It is. And billions cheered, airports paralyzed, pilots striking, passengers boycotting, and Zara's voice boomed. The airline will apologize publicly. No hush money, no secrets. And the crowd thundered. The airline's board buckling, execs resigning in droves, a public apology letter trending. We failed Captain Zara Miles, our industry, and our values. And Zara's wounds pulsed, her leg a furnace, but her resolve was steel. And a text from FAA Director Ellen Hayes flashed. Join our oversight board. Captain, lead the change. And Zara's breath hitched. Her father's workbench, Knight's blueprints, equations, dreams of flight flooding back. And she accepted. Her role a lighthouse for a broken industry, but a drone buzzed above, dropping a syndicate note. You'll pay, Miles. And Tara's security team, led by the steely Tara Voss, swept the plaza, finding only shadows. And Zara's mind raced. Vincent Marrow, the syndicate's billionaire mastermind, still free in Dubai, his accounts moving. Jaden Brooks's hacks confirming. And she whispered to Lena, Marrow's next. As protesters turned riots into festivals, their signs now reading Miles soars, and the airlines reforms mandatory bias training, diversity quotas, civilian audits passed under Zara's shadow, and she rallied pilots in a hangar. Captain Elena Ruiz shouting, You've given us wings. Zara and the crowd surged, passengers chanting, Captain Miles, and Zara's live stream showed her scars, her fire, billions inspired, and Lena filed a motion to target Marrow. Vasquez warning, he's a ghost, untouchable. But Zara's voice was a lash. I'll find him. And the city danced, protesters celebrating, media swarming, and Zara's appointment to the oversight board hit headlines. Pilot hero to reshape aviation. But a figure lingered in the hangar, a syndicate operative, his phone flashing orders. And Tara's team grabbed him, his device revealing Marrow's command. Eliminate Miles. And Zara's eyes burned. Her pain a price. Her evidence, Maya's USB. Grayson's confession. Jaden's leaks a torch. And she stood in the hangar, pilots saluting. Their planes a promise. Her fight a fire, knowing Marrow was the syndicate's core, and she'd hunt him. Her sky a battlefield. Her father's words her guide, ready to burn their empire to ash, no matter the cost. A flash of lightning split the night sky, its jagged arc illuminating the tarmac as Captain Zara Miles stepped onto the jetway of Flight 827, her Navy pilot's uniform crisp despite the scars beneath bullet grazes, knife slashes, burns from syndicate attacks, each a badge of her war, and the cabin burst into applause. Passengers and crew leaping to their feet, chanting Captain Miles, their phones live streaming her return to billions, the feed exploding with hashtag Zara flies and hashtag sky of justice. And Zara's heart thundered, her eyes sweeping the cockpit's familiar controls, her wounds aching, but her resolve a towering flame. And outside, the airport pulsed, no longer a battlefield, but a monument to her victory. Protests now transformed into jubilant rallies, signs proclaiming Miles soars waving under floodlights, and Zara's voice crackled through the intercom, steady, commanding. This is your captain. Welcome aboard. Her words a solemn vow. Her brother Jamal's shattered dreams a searing fire. Her father's teachings lift, thrust, justice her unshakable wings. And she taxied to the runway, the sky crystalline, her first flight since the jetway humiliation, a blazing symbol. And billions watched. Her triumph over the syndicate, Richard Grayson's conviction, Victor Lang's downfall, the airline's groveling public apology reshaping the aviation world. And Zara now led the FAA Oversight Board, her reforms sweeping through the industry like a storm, mandating bias training, enforcing diversity quotas, establishing civilian audits, each policy a brick in a new foundation. But Vincent Marrow, the syndicate's elusive billionaire mastermind, lingered in her thoughts, his Dubai stronghold a dark specter, and Jaden Brooks' relentless hacks had traced his financial threads, uncovering a new syndicate cell stirring in the shadows. And Zara's phone vibrated, a text from Lena Carter flashing. Marrow's funds moved. We've got a location. And her pulse quickened, her scars a map of battles fought. And she stood in a hangar turned training ground, surrounded by young pilots, Black, Latino, women, dreamers like Jamal, their eyes alight with purpose. Her Malik scholars, named for her brother, learning not just to fly but to fight prejudice. And Tara's security team patrolled the perimeter, their rifles glinting, ever vigilant. But a low hum broke the night, a syndicate drone plummeting to the ground, its payload a scrawled note. Miles, your time's up. And Zara's knife flashed, her military trainings a reflex, her hands steady as she snatched the note, and Tara's team fanned out, sweeping the hangar. Uncovering a hidden tracker, Barrow's mark, and Zara's mind raced. Her father's workbench nights, his grease-stained hands sketching flight paths, grounding her, and she rallied the scholars, her voice a clarion call. You're the sky's future. Never let them clip your wings. And a young pilot, Aisha, stepped forward, her resolve echoing Jamal's fire, vowing, we'll lead. Captain. And Zara's heart swelled, her brother's legacy reborn. But Jaden's laptop chimed, a decrypted syndicate email flashing, Marrow's orders to destroy the oversight board, and Zara texted Lena, Batum, as Sarah Klein's camera rolled, live. I'm Captain Zara Miles, a pilot, not a prey, and the sky belongs to justice. And billions roared, the hangar a fortress, pilots saluting, their planes a testament, and Lena's legal team set a trap. Jaden hacking Marrow's Dubai server, exposing a clandestine summit of syndicate leaders, their names global tycoons, rogue regulators lighting up the feed, and Zara planned a final strike, not with violence but with truth. Her evidence Maya Chen's USB, Grayson's confession, Jaden's leaks a blazing torch, and the FAA board cemented her reforms. Airlines audited, biases dragged into the open, and Zara flew, her cockpit a sanctuary, passengers cheering, her scholars training, their wings unbound, and protests gave way to rallies, signs now proclaiming justice soars, and Zara's oversight role dominated headlines. Pilot hero redefines aviation, but a shadow flickered in the hangar, a syndicate operative slipping through, his phone glowing with Marrow's command, eliminate Miles, and Tara's team seized him, his device revealing a Dubai meeting. And Zara's eyes burned, her wounds a price, and she stood on the tarmac, the city's lights a war zone, her voice a tempest. The sky's ours, and billions watched, her fight a fire, and Jaden's final hack pinpointed Marrow's fortress, a Dubai citadel, and Zara vowed to end him. Her scholars, her legion, and Lena filed international charges. Agent Carla Vasquez cautioning, Marrow's untouchable, but Zara's resolve was unbreakable. Her father's words, fly, Zara, her compass, and she mentored Aisha, her scholars, their voices chanting, for Jamal, and the city rejoiced, media swarming, her legacy a lighthouse. But Marrow's cell stirred, a latent threat, and Zara grip on her knife, her cockpit a vow, her sky a battlefield, ready to burn the syndicate's last sparks, her fight a fire, her resolve a storm, her wings a promise, soaring for every dreamer, forever free. Zara's fight crushed prejudice, forging aviation's new era. Thank you for joining her victory. Like, share, subscribe for bold tales. Hit the bell for justice and triumph.